What is going on, guys? As always, today's show is brought to you by ThriveFantasy.com. It's DFS for prop bets. Visit ThriveFantasy.com or download the app for iOS or Android. Use our promo code Armchair. Receive an instant match up to $50. Choose your 10 favorite prop bets to build your lineup and compete against the rest of the field for cash prizes. Again, sign up today at ThriveFantasy.com or download the app for iOS or Android. Use our promo code Armchair and receive your instant match. We had a good week last week, or at least I did. I think Gerson and Tim may have had a little bit of a struggle last week. But we got some good stuff to talk about this week. We're going to have a rebound week. So stay tuned, guys.
Fantasy football, you dealing with the best. Keep it hype, authentic. This ain't nothing like the rest. With the Armchair Fantasy Show podcast, give advice for all the listeners to improve your stats. Yeah, we live on goingfor2.com. Tuesdays and Fridays, this is what you want. Talking dynasties and daily drafts, and we just getting started. That ain't even the half. Yeah, so go ahead, tell your friends to join. Going for two, cause no one remembers the extra point. Hey, goingfor2.com, the Armchair Fantasy Show.
What's going on, guys? All right, welcome to episode 187 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. We are here every Wednesday and Friday night on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, Twitch, syndicated in all major podcast networks, and streaming in the Going for Two app for iOS and Android. I'm here as always. It's just the three of us tonight, the three amigos. We had four of us here last week. We only got three this week. Of course, Tim and Gerson. What's up, Tim?
Man, happy to be back without the Vikings fan this week. But like you said, coming off a tough week, man. Definitely need a rebound.
Definitely. And Gerson, you have a 12-pack hiding back there somewhere. You had, I think, 12 beers last week on the show. You got a 12-pack hiding back there?
Yeah, that was during the show, but before the show, that's when the party really started. No, man. Last weekend was it was the most brutal week I had all year.
Save it for the rewind. Save it for the rewind. Don't kill it. I'm gonna hit my drop. I paid for that drop. I want to use it. All right, let's go ahead and get into the rewind, guys.
The weekly rewind. Rewind.
All right, Gerson, give us your recap from last week.
Wow, 2 seconds later. Okay. No, it was brutal. Probably the worst week I had all year. I thought week 2 couldn't happen again, but legit, just I won $12.50 on that app, DraftKings, but in reality, I lost $1,150.
Ah, that's brutal. That's brutal.
It sucks, but hey, man, when you are profitable on what we going on 14 now?
14, yeah.
So I mean, you're pretty. I mean, I can confidently say that I'm at least 60% profitable.
Nice,
you know?
Nice. That's good.
You win some, you lose some.
Yep, it's got. Yeah,
I was gonna say I was on a good run in cash until last week, and I think we were on a lot of the same guys, which is probably why you had success. It's just that unfortunately I had Henry and Eckler in my cash line, and both of those guys bombed. Took the rest of the lineup with me. And that was kind of rough, man. But I was kind of happy I didn't, because of house stuff. I don't know, for those who didn't know, I'm trying to get a house right now. I didn't end up having anybody in the arena last week, so my arena remains. My arena streak is continuing. And speaking of the arena, we have a very, very special guest in the arena this week, Mr. Jeff Lambert.
Yes, sir. It's gonna be interesting. We had our draft a few hours ago, and we both, I think, drafted some solid lineups. Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, maybe the first 3 picks were all Packers. I had the double pick.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, Tim had Aaron Jones at 101, and then I had the 101, the 102 and 103, and I took Rodgers and Devontae Adams to stack. So this will be an interesting week for sure. Hopefully, I can get this victory, and I can have a little bragging rights next week on the show. Well, unlike these two guys, I actually crushed last week. My cash lineup was pretty awesome. The only mistake I made, I did play Brandon Cooks, which he was so highly owned that it didn't really matter. But I was scared to play Kiki QT along with him. So instead, I played Jacoby Myers, who was just terrible. Had I just stuck with QT, I would have really crushed it. But yeah, I put up 177 points. For my cash lineup, would also cash some GPPs as well, and I think I came in 7th place in the Fantasy Pros accuracy contest as well. So I had an awesome week. But we're going to do it again. That's a good thing about DFS. It doesn't stop. We get a chance to rebound, or in my case, hopefully continue it down the right path. The Weekly Rewind is brought to you by a new sponsor tonight. Our new sponsor is the Original Craft Beer Club. You sign up, you get 12 beers a month. If you go to goingfor2.com/getbeer, you get free shipping and up to 3 free gifts, depending on what package you get. Makes for a great Christmas present. It's actually what I asked for Christmas. So again, goingfor2.com/getbeer. It's craft beer. They give you new ones every month. You got things you can choose from. You can choose how often you want it. Do you want it once a month? Do you want it every other month? Do you want it quarterly? So again, guys, one last time, goingfor2.com/getbeer to sign up for that. All right, let's get right into.
What about every day?
What was that?
What about every day?
Every day. They don't do it every day, Gerson. I'm sorry. This is craft beer. You're supposed to enjoy craft beer, not down it the way you did last week. All right, guys.
Oh, that's what you're supposed to do.
Let's get to the quarterback.
I will say that that was quite impressive.
Quarterbacks.
All right, so we are at the quarterbacks. Tim, we're going to go to you first here. Give us your top-tier quarterbacks. It's pretty obvious this week, I think.
Yeah. We're going to start right here with number 12. It's easy. It's right there at the top. It's the highest projected total on the slate. As if Detroit wasn't already an excellent opportunity for Rodgers, Trufant and Okuda are both going to be out this week. It just continues to get better. I think he's the top quarterback on the slate, and he's not priced as a top quarterback on the slate, so you always take a little savings over the other guy I think is also on his tier.
And Gerson, I don't have a sheet for you, so I have no idea what your plays are this week. So who is your elite quarterback?
Oh, did I not put copy and paste? My bad. Hold on. No, just kidding. I didn't do it. I didn't do the sheet, guys. I've been very busy. The top quarterback, definitely Aaron Rodgers for sure. But I'm not going to be scared of this matchup for Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes is matchup proof, in my opinion. This guy put up 35 points against Tampa Bay, 22 points versus Denver. Las Vegas Raiders suck, so Carolina suck, New York Jets suck. I mean, it doesn't matter. This guy's just good. Like I don't mean to say that like that, but I just think Tyreek Hill right now is taking Patrick Mahomes to another level right now. And I think Xavier Howard play, he's not very good against a speedy wide receiver. It's just more people are going to be scared of the cornerback. I'm going to be contrarian. And the crazy thing is, it's not contrarian at all because he's coming out as the highest projected quarterback at 12.4% ownership. Aaron Rodgers coming in at 9.7% ownership. So I think the price differential of $600 shouldn't scare you off Patrick Mahomes, but I get the point for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he has a 31-point implied total, and Patrick Mahomes has a 29 point. It really, you got to pick your poison, but I think, in my opinion, I'm going to go with the guy that I think is going to chuck the ball because, well, we'll talk about the running back that Green Bay Packers have later.
Yeah, I like the Mahomes call too because you're right. I mean, sometimes you just got to play the studs, and I think people are going to avoid him for obvious reasons. They're going to probably go to Rodgers, going to look at that matchup and think, oh, it's not a very good matchup. And, I mean, he's Mahomes for a reason. You know what I mean? He's the best quarterback in the league for a reason, so you can definitely go to him. It kind of reminds me of a story. It's been about 5-6 years ago, maybe even longer than that. Larry Fitzgerald had a game where he had like 15 catches, and in the after game, one of the pressers asked him, you know, how come you didn't just decide to stop Larry Fitzgerald? And he says, if it was that easy, everyone would do it. He's Larry Fitzgerald for a reason. So I think it's kind of the same thing with Mahomes. He's Mahomes for a reason. You can play him. You'll probably get lower ownership.
Are you guys the same age? You and Larry?
Actually, I think I'm older. I'm actually older than Larry Fitzgerald. So I'm actually older than Tom Brady, and he's the oldest one in the league right now. I'm a little bit older than Tom Brady. All right.
So I don't love Deshaun Watson. So the only other guy I think is worth paying up for this week is Russell Wilson, and that's just because he gets the Jets. And it seems like every week we're saying, oh, they're going to blow the Jets out. It's not worth paying them. Where the Mahomes stack won against the Jets, the Herbert stack won against the Jets, Darren Waller won against the Jets. So I'm going right back to stacking against the Jets this week with Russell Wilson. We'll talk about it when we get to wide receivers, but I feel like this is going to be a big week for somebody. He's going to be in a lot of my lineups this week, and I'm going to match him up with Russell Wilson.
Yep, I like it. Let's move down into the mid tiers, Gerson. Who do you have in your mid tier?
Nick, the rookie of the year, Justin Herbert. I guess I thought it was the rookie of the year until Justin Jefferson decided to turn into fucking Randy Moss.
Yeah, balling out.
But
which I called in the draft, by the way.
Yeah, you wanted him on your team. That's what you mean. Justin Herbert, I mean, versus the Atlanta Falcons, we know the way you beat the Atlanta Falcons is through the pass. The run game's actually with the pass funnel defense. I mean, you beat them to the pass. 6,800, coming in at 8% ownership, but his value for his salary is still pretty good. I think people are going to be scared of him too. I think this ownership is a little bit too high. I think it can be lower than that because they see a rookie and, well, they saw an ass whooping the Chargers got last week. I'm amazed Lynn didn't get fired.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that was it.
But after an ass whooping like that, something had to change. The culture had to change. And they're going to look at 209 yards, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks. That looks like a rookie. Okay. But this is the Atlanta Falcons, guys. They're going to score. You're going to have to score on them. Their pass defense is horrible. And 6,800, and along with his stack, is actually not really expensive. So you can go different ways. Keenan Allen is expensive, but the other two guys, Hunter Henry and Mike Williams, I like them too.
Yep, good call. Tim, who you got? You got a couple guys there in the mid tier.
Yeah, I want you to talk about the other guy, and then I'll talk about the main guy I want to talk about.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah, you talk about Tannehill.
All right, so yeah, I obviously got Tannehill. Great matchup versus Jacksonville. The only concern that I have is because it's Jacksonville and they can't stop the run or the pass is that it might be a Derrick Henry game. However, we've seen Tannehill still be so efficient. You know, they get down in the red zone and they do run that play action fake, and when it's Derrick Henry play action, it leaves everybody wide open. They get their full complement of receivers back because John Smith will be back this week. Corey Davis, of course, had a breakout game last week. I've been calling Corey Davis for so long that I gave up on him, and now, of course, he's going to be breaking out this year. But his stacking options are good. And I do think the Jacksonville, despite being as terrible as they are, I think he can still put up points on them, even if Derrick Henry gets his 150 yards rushing as well. All right, Tim, who you got?
All right, I want to talk about my favorite game on the slate. And as much as that hurts me to say as a Packer fan, I cannot wait to watch Vikings and Bucks. I love both quarterbacks in this game. I think both are excellent options this week and have great stacking of options. But if I have to pick one, I'm paying up for Brady. I think people are going to click on Herbert. They're going to click on Tannehill, and for good reason. But this, to me, feels like a Brady week. He's coming off a bye. He gets to face a team that has absolutely no pass rush, is terrible against the pass, basically is one of the worst pass defenses in the league. And traditionally, like him coming off a bye when he's had time to prepare, he's coming off a bad game. I just feel like this is all kind of Brady narrative week. I fully expect Brady to have 4 passing touchdowns in this game. He's one of my favorite plays on the week.
Yeah, I like that call. You got to sell me on the other guy a little bit, though, on the other side of that game. What do you like about him?
Yeah, I do like Cousins and I don't. I listed him here, but I'm actually I wish I could put like a question mark next to him because I think I like his receivers more than I like him this week.
Nice.
I feel like on the other side, Brady is really good when the opponent has a terrible pass rush, and Kirk Cousins is usually terrible against teams that have good pass rush.
Yeah.
So I think especially since they have a good run D, they're going to contain what the Vikings like to do. They're going to force Kirk Cousins to pass. And while he may be able to make good numbers for his wide receivers, I wouldn't be surprised if he had 1 or 2 turnovers in this game. Now, he could easily throw for 300 and multiple touchdowns, but I think there's almost probably as likely a chance that he throws for 150 yards and 2 interceptions.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And I would definitely say if I'm picking a side, I'd rather have the Brady side.
Yeah, I like that call. And
then bring it back with Jefferson or something like that.
Right. And it's kind of funny to me, too, because when I looked at that at face value, I thought the Bucs are a tough defense, which they have been, for most of the year. But over the last couple of weeks, they've really fallen off in the secondary a little bit. They're actually getting up the 6th most fantasy points to receivers right now on the season, almost 40 points. So that secondary is not what it was earlier in the season. So I do like that as well.
And as Matt Dahl pointed out in the chat, pretty much the only Viking worth anything other than Harrison Smith left on their defensive roster is Eric Kendricks, and he's out this week. So I think it also bumps up Gronk. So that's just another option you can pair with Brady this week.
Like it.
So like all week, I just couldn't believe my eyes. I'm like, man, is Kirk Cousins really gonna go 2% owned? So that's what he's coming out at right now.
Wow.
2.7. I actually expect that to go up. I hope it does because 6,200 against Tampa Bay in a high-scoring environment. It is on the road. We know how Cousins is erratic at times, but I don't think this defense. What is it called? They're not going to be able to run the ball. Dalvin Cook he's a great running back and everything, but that defense is stout.
Yeah,
even
front.
with losing what's his name, Vea? I think he's still out, right?
Vita Vea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's still out, but I mean, it's kind of weird because like I hate when I see this because it's ace and DVOA defense for pass against Kirk Cousins, but then you go with DVP and like I said this when Patrick Mahomes went off. Their defense looked great on DVOA, but they're not that great. And I said it, I mean, on the Sunday show, I think it's a pass funnel defense. I mean, you're just going to go around them through the pass. And, of course, the Chiefs, well, Tyreek Hill on them. But maybe Justin Jefferson, the new Randy Moss. And I hate saying that because I love Randy Moss so much. But this guy is just playing out of his world.
Yes, he definitely is.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, who do you got? Let's move down to the values here. Who do you got in your values?
Yeah, I'm actually going to Gerson's probably going to talk about this guy. So I'm going to talk about the other guy, and that's Mitch Trubisky. Again, I mentioned him last week, and I'm going to go back. It hurts me to do, but, where DraftKings prices him at 5,600, he just comes up as such a value for me. He gets to face the Houston Texans, whose defense is already bad, and they lost Roby, their only good corner. I think this feels like it could be a huge blowout week for Allen Robinson. So I really like that. And so I think he's a great option if you want to pay down. I don't know. I haven't really looked at ownership too much, but I don't think a lot of people will be on him because some people played him last week and he kind of burned himself.
Yep.
I think he's somebody who's got a higher floor than people want to admit, and he's still got somewhat of a ceiling as well.
Yep. And Gerson, the guy I think Tim wanted you to talk about, you got Matt Ryan on your value list down there?
Oh, I'm going to talk about Jalen Hurts.
Okay, go ahead. Give us Jalen Hurts.
I mean, I can talk about Matt Ryan. I mean, but the thing that got me down on Matt Ryan today,
Julio out. Yep.
So I'm off Matt Ryan because when Julio's out, Matt Ryan does shitty.
Yep.
Even in the game when Julio was in and then he came out of the game, Matt Ryan did shitty. Like, it's like this guy, I don't know, like, Matt Ryan hits PB&J or Matt Ryan spoon to his fork or I don't know.
I feel like DraftKings knew Julio was going to be out too, the way they priced him and the way they priced Ridley. It was like they knew in advance. They're like, he's not playing this game.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about Jalen Hurts.
I was talking about Hurts though, for real.
I like Jalen Hurts, 5,100. This guy can scramble. He's not like Kyler Murray or anything, but he'll get his 35, 40 yards. I mean, that's 4 points right there. And he came in last week in the middle of the third quarter, I think it was, Tim? You watched the Green Bay game?
Yeah.
I don't know. I watched it too. What am I saying? That was my only hope. Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, come on, Aaron Rodgers, save my money. Nope. He went 5 for 12, 109 yards. That's 41% in case you can't do the math. But not great. But guess what? They're going to have to score because New Orleans is going to score probably 25 points, 28 points. And while their Vegas implied total is at 18, it's very low. I don't care. He's 5,100, very, very cheap, and he has that rushing upside. I'm going to be playing Jalen Hurts, actually not in GPP, but I would probably play him in cash game for sure. But Aaron Rodgers is probably the lock of cash game, I think, this week because of his upside. But
I like Hurts too. And I think the Eagles are going to want to run the ball. But they won't be able to. They won't be able to. The Saints haven't given up a 100-yard rusher in like 2 years. It's ridiculous how long they've gone without having a 100-yard rusher. So they'll be forced to pass, and he'll be forced to run it himself a little bit as well. So, that's a good call.
Hey, one quick thing I just want to mention real quick since you mentioned the Eagles. Interesting GPP play. I didn't have him on my list. Is Taysom Hill. The Bears actually give up a ton of rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks, and they're also really bad against teams that focus on one receiver. So I actually like the stack with Michael Thomas this week, even though he's not on my list. But not enough to make the list. But I think he's interesting this week. Anyway,
no, he's a great player. He's definitely a great player. I'll say that.
You can run him naked. People always love the naked quarterback, so it might be a naked Taysom week.
I think one of the guys I have to mention is Matthew Stafford. What's his name? Coach Bevel. What's his first name?
Daryl
Bevel. Yeah. This guy is he's kind of like a high-paced offense. They'll sling it. And Matthew Stafford threw for 31% downfield passes this week, which is next to before he was throwing 17%. So that's a high increase to his passing total. And, they don't have Kenny Golladay. It didn't matter.
Yep.
And he was that much. I think Stafford is a great contrarian play. And also, I would even consider him in cash. He got 30 points last week against Chicago's stout defense. He threw for 402 yards, 3 touchdowns, and everybody forgets this narrative. But when there's a new coach, players get motivated sometimes.
Yep.
So I think they're motivated. I think Bevel's actually a good assistant coach, too. I think his offense is quick. I hate Matt Patricia. That motherfucker doesn't deserve a job. Good God. Who the hell has a pencil on their ear? When it's 2020, you got tablets, you got computers. Even Bill Belichick, as old as he is, he has a freaking paper. That's it. He don't got no pencil on his freaking. Oh my goodness. But anyways, Matthew Stafford against Green Bay. I think there's gonna be a high scoring environment, like Tim said. So I like him at 5,700.
All right, yeah, I like that call. And the only one I had on my list, and I'll keep it short because we're running long, is Danny Dimes versus Arizona. He's expected to be back this week. If he is fully healthy and he's back, I do think against Arizona he can be viable. He's pretty cheap at 5.5 right now. So Danny Dimes is the one quarterback that we hadn't talked about. I like the guys I mentioned, but he's the one that we hadn't talked about yet. All right, let's get to our tight ends.
Did somebody say tight ends?
All right, Tim, I'm going to go to you first here because I wrote on my sheet for tight ends, I just wrote pay down because I'm not paying that for anybody this week, but you got one guy there.
Wait. Can I just say the best player of the tight end, like the best play, please?
Go ahead.
Can I go first?
Yeah, go first. Yep.
His name is Logan Thomas. I've been touting him since the offseason. He's the best tight end in football history. He is back. He has been back for the last 2.5 weeks, because 1 week he did shitty. Well, but let's ignore that one. But hey, guess what? He's a top 8 tight end. Doesn't mean a lot. I know, I get it. But guess what? When Alex Smith is back there, he throws the ball to him a lot.
Yeah.
Like 9 targets last week, 9 receptions, 98 yards, 1 touchdown. And he came up short 2 yards from that 100-yard bonus. Of course, if you were playing Thursday Night Football, you were praying for that $100 bonus. Oh, no, was it Tuesday night? What day was it?
No, they played on. They played Monday.
Wednesday?
Monday at 5 p.m. Well, 5 p.m. East Coast time.
It's 2020. We don't know what day they play anymore, right? But no. Okay, sorry. I had to say that. I just love Logan Thomas.
And it's funny you mentioned he missed the. Oh, there it is.
No, I was gonna say we gotta show some love for Darren Waller this week after the blow up week he had last. I don't think it's as good of a play, but we got to shout out. Obviously, he's the official. You could say Logan tight end, but I think Darren Waller is the official tight end of this show.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. No one else has a drop.
He just breaks my heart.
He's the only one that has a drop on this show, so he's definitely the official tight end for the show. All right.
Yeah, but I don't know that you can pay up this week. I mean, you can maybe try and say you want to pay up for Kelsey as a GPP option with Patrick Mahomes, but I don't know how you can pay for Darren Waller against Indy. That's the one of the few things they've consistently done well is cover the tight end. So
yeah, yep.
I'm glad you got your week. You're 6,800. You got your price increase, but I'm not playing you this week, Waller.
Yeah, a little too expensive for me. And like I said, I put top tier. I put pay down. I don't have any top tier guys that I want my laps this week. So moving down to the mid tier, I'll pick my favorite guy in the mid tier, and that's Mr. Schultz for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm playing him actually in the arena against Tim versus Cincinnati. He's 3.5. He's not super expensive, and Cincinnati gives up I think like the 4th or 5th most points to tight ends. We know Cincinnati's pretty much bad overall, but. Dalton was looking his way last week. I think he had, what do you have, like 6 targets last week, something like that?
They ranked first, 31st in DVP, so they're like the second to worst.
Second to worst, yeah. So
I called it out last week with the Mike Gesicki against Tim call, and that worked out. They just can't cover tight ends.
Yep, exactly.
It doesn't matter who was quarterbacking. It was going to be real obvious.
Yep.
Can you say his name yet? Can you say that quarterback for the Miami Dolphins name yet?
Tonga Vailoa.
Good job,
There we
Jeff.
go. I actually think Gesicki is in play again this week, but I think my favorite favorite tight ends in that range, Hunter Henry. Part of it's going against Atlanta. They've been terrible against tight ends this year. Robert Tonyan, he seems to be Aaron Rodgers' number 2 option. Yep. And this week returning, which might be my favorite play because you get a little savings, the return of Jonnu Smith. He absolutely crushed Jacksonville when they played earlier in the season. He's been a touchdown machine this year. And because he's coming off an injury, he's only 3,900. So kind of the theme of this year of 2020 has been play the guy coming off the injury. They always seem to have a big week this year. So I'm going to have some Jonnu Smith at 3,900.
I like it. Gerson, who do you have in your mid-tier?
Rob Gronkowski, first Minnesota, 4,800. 29-point implied total. I mean, we're seeing this Rob and Brady connection. It's just getting better and better week in, week out. The last game they had against Kansas City, he went for over 100 yards and 6 receptions on 7 targets. I just think I don't know if Godwin's going to play. That's my problem right now. Mike Evans.
Yeah,
they were both full. They were both full this week. Right? Yeah, they're both playing.
Yeah, I mean, if they both play, then yeah, maybe I'll limit a little bit of my exposure. But I still like Rob Gronkowski at 4,800. I mean, this guy, I guess you can say he had some bust games, right? But he's also had great games. I mean, from week 6 to week 8, he almost averaged 16 points per game per tight end. And then on week 10, he got 13. And on week 12, he got almost 20. So we're saying, what, a 15-point upside for a floor for tight end, maybe? I don't know, maybe Gronkowski. But then again, it's Rob Gronkowski. You don't know he's going to block or run. I mean, they're going to pass the ball in Minnesota, right? Yeah. They're going to have to. But I love Gronkowski for sure in this game, for sure. I mean, he's coming in at 4% ownership. For tight end, that's pretty low.
Nice.
Yeah. I know you want to talk about your guy, Jeff, so I'll talk about the other two real quick because they're both in the same game. And that's Akins and Cole Kmet. I really like Cole Kmet this week, especially if you're doing Trubisky stacks. He's obviously taken over for Jimmy Graham, and I think he's still underpriced at 2,900. Akins has burned a lot of people the last couple of weeks, but one of the only ways you can throw on Chicago is through the tight end position. They're one of the worst defensively in the one of the worst. So last week I said I didn't think it was an Akins week. This week I think it is an Akins week. If you still have the stomach to go back to him, I think he's a great play.
I like it.
Or the bankroll.
What?
Or the bankroll to go back.
Or the bankroll, yeah. That's true.
So yeah, moving into my value tier. Of course, I have my boy that I hyped up all off season. He was out for the last 3 games, but ISJ, Mr. Irv Smith Jr. is back against Tampa Bay. We mentioned their secondary is not that great. He's still questionable, so make sure he does play. But also Kyle Rudolph's going to be out for this game, so he'll get all the run at tight end. So I do think that ISJ is in play at 3.1. And Gerson, you got a guy that I thought was on your list, and now, of course, your list has disappeared on me. But did you have Mo Alley Cox on your list? He's the other guy I was looking at the value range.
No, I had your funeral writing. Here lies Irv Smith Jr., N'Keal Harry, Mike Evans, Jameis Winston. They all went out to dinner at the famous broil, or I don't even know, how do you Southern people do it? Like
the Sizzler. They all go to the
Sizzler. Yeah. No, I will not have Mo Alley Cox. I will. I love that Cole Kmet call. There are 2 tight ends I was really high on in Dynasty. Cole Kmet and the other motherfucker that hasn't done shit is what's his name? Adam Troutman. But I mean, he had 1 good week, right? I think nobody's really talking about TJ Hawkinson. I don't know why. Yeah. I want to mention he's not a value, he's a mid-tier, but we missed on him. TJ Hawkinson, this guy's playing lights out last 3 weeks, 10, 13, 15, and well, guess what? Kenny Galladay's not going to play, and they're going to have to score in this game. So Hawkinson's going to have to, get his targets and whatnot. It is a tough matchup. Maybe that's why people don't want to play him. They rank 5th in DVP, but for me, value, man, I think it's what Tim said. It's only Cole Kmet or Jordan Aiken, and it kind of scares me to go back to Jordan Aiken too. Yeah. But he's coming out as my 3rd best value. But of course, the best tight end of the play today is Logan Thomas, guys. Don't forget it.
Yeah, I like Mo Alley Cox in the sense that you can pay $2.5K and know he probably won't give you a 0. Like I don't know if he's, I Like how much you can.
Well, let me give you my stat.
Why are we on him?
Let me give you my stat on Mo Alley Cox. Over the last 3 weeks, he has had the most snaps of the 3 tight ends, and he's run the most routes of the 3 tight ends. So at 2.5, if he gives you 5, which he gave you last week, he's going to hit value. So if he can maybe catch a touchdown, I mean, he's a big dude to get down close. He might actually catch a touchdown, and then you're in the money. So I think Mo Alley Cox is definitely in play here. And he's playing the Raiders, and we know how bad the Raiders are versus the tight end.
Hey, wait, is Burton out or something? What am I missing here?
No, Burton's been in. Yeah. They've been playing, but he's been running more routes and has more snaps than both of them.
You know what? I disagreed on Gesicki. I disagreed on other tight end. So just play Mo Alley Cox. He's probably going to get like 40.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with Burton, man. They kind of like faded him out.
They faded him out. I don't get it either. I don't know if maybe he's not run blocking well enough or... I mean, Mo Alley Cox is a big dude, so he catches a touchdown, you're golden. So, anybody else before we get to the commercial break?
This guy just said Mo Alley Cox is a big dude. Go on, sorry, inappropriate.
Anybody else before we hit the commercial break, guys? Going once, going twice. All right, we'll be right back, guys. Hang tight. What's up, everyone? Jeff Lambert here, and I want to tell you about Society Socks. Is your sock drawer kind of boring? I know mine is. Society Socks is a men's sock subscription company that sends 2 pairs of exclusively designed socks to your door every month. These socks are made of a warm, soft, and comfortable blend of combed cotton, guaranteed to make your feet feel and look great. At the office or the bar, your socks are sure to be a hit. You might be wondering, why are they called Society Socks? Well, that's the best part. Socks are one of the most needed and least donated items at homeless shelters. Society Socks aims to change that. With every pair of socks purchased, another pair of socks is donated to homeless shelters. So on top of receiving awesome socks every month and amping up your sock drawer, you are actively making a positive change in society. With 2 surprise pairs of socks arriving at your door every month, you'll begin to grow an impressive sock collection. Visit mysocietySocks.com/armchair and enter our promo code ARMCHAIR to get 50% off your first subscription. Put an end to boring socks and subscribe today. Again, that's mysocietySocks.com/armchair and use promo code ARMCHAIR. All right, guys, welcome back. We are now at the money positions, the running back and the receivers. And Gerson, since I have no idea who you have on your sheet tonight, I'm going to go to you first. Do you have anybody besides the guy that me and Tim have in ours?
How about you go to yourself first and look at the list?
No, I'll tell you what it is, okay? Last week, you could take a $100 bill and light it on fire with a few of his friends, right? And that was what Derrick Henry did to my cash games. But I'm going right back to him this week, okay? Because he's playing Jacksonville. It doesn't matter, right? In this game, let them burn you and then go right back to him. Because last week he got game scripted out. Baker had the game of his life. And, it is what it is. He's the only time it's looked like in a while that he should have been the number 1 pick. But don't let that scare you. He's expensive this week. It's tough to get to him, especially in cash. But I think you're definitely going to regret if you don't have some Derrick Henry this week.
Yeah, I agree. And I think he's the kind of player, too, that wants to sort of bounce back and just destroy the next team that, after he getting held the way he did and the way they showed up. So I think he's definitely in play for sure. Gerson, who do you have in your top 2?
Derrick Henry's definitely a great play. Tim, are you going to talk about your boy? I don't want to talk about him if you are.
Yeah,
go for it.
He's got him on the list.
I got a bunch of people, so go for it.
Okay. I have nobody, guys, on my list. Don't worry about it.
I know, no highlights. I don't know who to avoid.
I know.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. No, I've just been really busy, guys. Aaron Jones versus Detroit is definitely probably my top running back this week. 28th in DVOA versus the Detroit Lions. We all know it's like a pyramid scheme that America does, right? You play the running back versus Detroit. Yes, the workload worries me sometimes. Yes, he had 10 carries 3 weeks ago. Yes, he had 17, 15. But guess what? This guy's yard per carry is still there. Last week he averaged 8.7, even though he had 70-yard touchdown last week on one run.
Yeah.
I mean, that was incredible. I mean, honestly, there was a guy in my football, nobody cares about fantasy football, but anyway, this guy lost, and this guy, he's like, oh, I'm done. And the next thing you know, he gets a 70-yard touchdown. I'm like, is this guy gonna win? And I texted my friend, I'm like, yo, bro, you have a chance. Yep. Don't say that to me right now, man. I'm like, you do. And he's like, come on, Aaron Jones, come on. I'm like, no. But anyway, Aaron Jones, that type of running back, he has that ceiling where he can start out slow and then get you that 70-yard touchdown. I mean, I think the highest paid running back in the offseason will be Aaron Jones, and he won't be playing for the Green Bay Packers.
Aaron, the season saver Jones. And you don't have to tell me. As Jeff said earlier, in our arena matchup, 101, I went Aaron Jones. So that tells you everything. If you're not going to play Aaron Jones, or if you want another running back in the same price range, I also love this week. It's James Robinson. His workload has just been constant this year. He's getting an incredibly high number of snaps. They're using him basically on all three downs. They're using him in the red zone. He's got one of the most sure roles. Last week, if you noticed, when Derrick Henry was standing on the sideline, it didn't matter. James Robinson was in the game, in his game. He's one of the, like I said, one of the safest plays on the board as far as a running back goes. His role is basically guaranteed. I know he's been a little bit limited in practice this week, but I think that's due to management. They're just trying to get him through and ready for the week. And Tennessee has actually given up a good amount of yards on the ground to running backs and through the air. So I think everything kind of sets up for him to be a good play this week. There's no game script. Yeah, there's no game script that hurts James Robinson, and I love that.
Yep, I like.
He had a good game against him too in week 2. Yeah. 102 yards and a touchdown.
That was his kind of coming out party.
Right?
Yeah. That was kind of when he put himself on notice. Yep. Like, I'm here.
Yeah. So I can't believe he's 7,500. That 7,500 price kind of scared me, but then I'm like, wait a minute, James Robinson, he gets all the workload.
Yeah, he gets the whole thing.
That was the game he said, Leonard Fournette who?
Don't hurt me like that.
All right, so the guy can I speak, Gerson? Come on, man. You keep cutting me off. The guy I have in my mid-tier is Austin Eckler at 7K going up against Atlanta. I know we mentioned Atlanta's good against the run, but Eckler last week had 9 targets. He had 16 targets the week before that. So he's definitely involved in the passing game. I know last week was a bad game. They got blown out by a gazillion points. But I do think he's still going to be viable there. He's a good stack option, actually, with Herbert because he is involved in the passing game so heavily. So he's my mid-tier call that I like. And there's one more guy that you had, Tim, that you also took in the arena that you said was one of your guys you hate to play, but you had to play him this week. So talk about that guy a little bit.
I do. The one guy I hate to play this week, the only guy I probably got right in my cash game lineup last week was David Montgomery. This guy has really just kind of taken, the Bears' job and just ran with it, literally. And Houston has been so bad against running backs this year at home. I just think this spot sets up so well for him. They're using him in the pass game, which is what they didn't do in the past. 4, 6, 3, 5. Those are his targets the last 4 weeks. His price has come up to $6,500, which is a little concerning, but his role is so secure, and you get a $1,000 discount over James Robinson and arguably a better game script. So I just really like David Montgomery. I'm probably going to be overweight on him this week, and if a Barons running back burns me, at least my boy Aaron Jones will be there to save me.
Yeah, I like it. I like that call. I got Montgomery in a lot of my lineups as well. All right, let's move down to the value tier, Gerson. Who do you got in your values?
Well, yeah, I have to agree with Tim, though. David Montgomery is probably the highest owned running back this week. He's coming in at 20% ownership. I think at value, it has to go with Myles Gaskin. While a lot of people, last week probably expected more. I did for sure. Because I felt like he's the only running back there.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the same thing this week. But this week, he has a matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. They rank 30th in DVOA versus defense, 5,600, a great value. Coming in at 14% ownership, that's a little higher than I like sometimes for my cheap running back. But obviously, cheap running backs are always going to be highly owned. But give me that. I mean, their implied total doesn't really, how do you say it, like make me want to play him because they're only projected for almost 21 points, especially versus Kansas City. But Gaskin should get the workload. Is Ahmed or what's his name?
Yeah, I think they're both out, man.
Both out.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, Gordon Howard's no longer there, so Gaskin should get the main workload for sure.
Yep.
So I got one more guy I want to talk about. I don't want to skip over him. Another one of the favorites of this show. And that's Mr. Back then, Mike Davis. Right? Everybody was – I remember Jared – I don't know if you're listening. Jared, at the beginning of the week, first thing I saw him tweet out was Christian McCaffrey in Week 14 no matter what. Well, unfortunately, Christian McCaffrey not playing. Mike Davis gets another week, and even though he's been not great the last couple of weeks, Denver has actually been terrible lately against opposing running backs. He's 6,400. We just talked about David Montgomery is going to be one of the highest owned players on the slate. If you want a GPP pivot at much less ownership for the same price, I love Mike Davis this week.
Yeah, that's a good call. The guy I have is probably going to be a little bit lower owned. He is pretty cheap, but he's kind of burned y'all the last couple of weeks. He's been as Giovanni Bernard, but he's got a good matchup with Dallas, and I think Bernard's going to get the workload. He's Mixon's still obviously out. We saw last week. I know it's the Ravens and they got a good rushing offense, but they just gashed the Cowboys defense. And I think Gio, who also gets involved in the passing game as well at 5,000, is a great cheap play that probably won't be very highly owned. And I also like J.D. McKissick for the Washington football team. Gibson's already been ruled out. I mean, McKissick was viable for a few weeks with Gibson in. I think there's 2 games in a row where he had like 14 or 15 targets. So McKissick now with basically the workload in the passing game to himself, I do think that McKissick's in play at 4.9 as well. Anybody else you got on your value list, Gerson?
Yeah, it's about time he came back on my list. I miss you.
Oh, I think I know who this is.
His name is Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
He's back.
He's back.
He's going to do it again. Break my heart because he's playing the Las Vegas Raiders. There's 2 ways you can break my heart. Either stuck or either fucking just run it down the Raiders' throat. So we'll see which way he does it. No, I like Jonathan Taylor.
Lock it in. No.
Yeah, I like Jonathan Taylor. Last week was kind of scary because, if you just look at the numbers, he had a great game. 91 yards, 7 yards per carry, 22 points. But he really got those in, the second half.
Yep.
The third quarter going on to the fourth quarter. I promise you that. You were like, I don't know about this. Then he got that 44. It was like a 30-yard receiving touchdown, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then he
39.
39. He got all his points in the second half because he really wasn't doing a lot of workload. A lot of people would look at the last 2 weeks and they're like, oh, yeah, he's breaking out. Hey, man, you better slow that roll down, man.
He's fighting for his job, man. He's doing the best he can. One guy that Justin mentioned in the chat, I don't want to skip over, and that's Wayne Gallman, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, I got to admit, I was wrong. I'll take the L on this. Last week, I was not on him because he faced against Seattle, and he didn't have a blow-up week or anything, but he still got the job done, man. And then this week, he's at home. He gets a much, much better matchup. Jeff, I believe you took Gallman in the arena, did you not?
I did, yep. And I stacked them with the Giants defense, too, because they've been really good. And Seattle has not looked very good lately. That offensive line is just brutal.
Yeah, or Arizona. Yeah,
Arizona. Sorry, yeah, Arizona. They were good against Seattle last week.
Oh, shit. He averaged 8.4 yards per carry?
Yeah.
At Seattle, yeah.
Wow.
16 carries for 135. It was insane. He scored 16.5 fantasy points with no touchdowns and no receptions.
Yeah,
that's the only thing about Gallman. It might have been Colt McCoy effect, right? Maybe he'll get a couple more receptions because he did when Daniel Jones was previously. But Colt McCoy was just like, no, I'm just going to hand it to you every time.
Yeah, and he could have had more, right? Alfred Morris got a touchdown, right?
Yeah, because that 70-yard run, he had a 70-yard run, got tackled at the 2-yard line. And they brought Alfred Morris in who got the touchdown.
Yeah, tapping the helmet.
He was too tired to get back in the game.
The Nick Chubb, right? The Nick Chubb.
Yep.
That's the Nick Chubb. I got you down to the 2. Now let Kareem Hunt run it in.
Yep, exactly.
No, but I think he's a great play this week, man, in cash and GPP.
Agreed. All right, we ready to go to the receivers now? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And now, wide receivers.
All right, Gerson, once again, I have no idea who you have, but I assume you probably have some of the same guys that me and Tim do, but give us one of your elite receivers.
I had Julio Jones until he broke my heart. No, the elite receivers, let's see. Well, let me pull up my list. Devontae Adams, definitely up there. Versus Detroit. This guy is playing out of the world right now. I think I saw a stat that said that in the last 16 or 17 game that he played, like a full season, he had almost like 132 reception, almost 1,800 yards, and like 17 touchdowns. I mean, that's pretty much incredible. But he's 9,300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he's going to be highly owned. 24%. I mean, if you're not paying for Derrick Henry and the top running back, I mean, Derrick Henry is the only other guy I would pay for at that price. But Adam's like the number one play on the slate for sure for me.
Yeah, one thing I liked about last week, you know, I had him in my cash lineup, and I'm watching the game. Of course, I watched the Packers fan. They got down to the goal line. Rodgers throws a pass to Davante Adams that was not complete in the end zone. In the very next play, they ran the same play right again. Now let's just try it again. Throw it back to Davante Adams. And that's what I like. When they get down in the red zone, that 5-yard line, not afraid to throw the ball to Davante Adams. What was that?
Yeah.
Yep. I agree with you, Jeff.
Yeah.
He's the red zone guy, just like you're saying, man.
Yep. He's a beast.
Just throws him as much to go get it, man. So I'm going to go out on a limb a little bit this week. And this is a guy I took against you in the arena. I'm willing to be wrong and take an L on this, but I'm going to make a stance. This is a DK Metcalf week. We have seen the Jets get absolutely bodied by big receivers. And last week it was Darren Waller. This week it's DK Metcalf. I'm not saying he's going to have that big of a week, but I'm going to go ahead and call for it. I think he's got like a 25, maybe 30-point weekend coming for DK Metcalf this week. He's one of my favorite options in GPP. And you just mentioned one of the only guys you're willing to pay up for is Davante Adams. I think when the way I do wide receivers every week is I put them in tiers, just like you do when you're drafting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there's 3 wide receiver ones in my opinion this week. It's Davante Adams, Keenan Allen, and DK Metcalf. Yeah. They're the only guys I really am willing to pay up for a significant percentage because I think all 3 of them have 30-point upside this week.
Yeah,
and Davante has 40-point upside any week, but I just mean in terms of those other 2 guys. So DK's had a couple of slower weeks. This week he gets the ultimate matchup. Play the number 1 against the Jets. He's going off. Just book it.
Yeah, Kyle just dropped a good stat in the chat here. He says Adams is leading the NFL in red zone targets. He's got 21 of them. So that's definitely a good thing right there. So yeah, Keenan Allen, you mentioned him. His price has come down because he hasn't been amazing the last 2 weeks. He had a couple tough matchups, but he's still getting the targets. He had 10 targets, 11 targets, 19 targets 3 weeks ago against Atlanta. If he gets those targets, he's just going to crush it. I mean, he'll crush against Atlanta. They're not the Bills. They're not New England. So I think Keenan Allen is definitely one of those guys in the top tier for sure.
Yeah, people called it the Austin Eckler effect. It's not. It's called the Tre'Davious White and the Stephon Gilmore effect. We talked about it on this show last week. Gerson asked me, do you still think Stephon Gilmore is that good? And I said, yes, I do. Okay, now I'm not going to say he owned Keenan Allen last week, but Allen wasn't a good play because of it.
Yep.
Hopefully it burned a lot of people. You go back to it this week.
Yep.
Wait a minute. There's a lot of special team touchdown. There was a lot of defense.
Hey.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean...
Let's move down to the mid-tier, Gerson.
No, I don't want to interrupt you. You can go.
Go down to the mid-tier. You got the mid-tier.
Well, I just wanted to give you a shout-out, Jeff. Jeff's had DK Metcalf rank in his top 10 on Dynasty ranking.
And redraft. I had him in redraft, too. Top 10 in redraft.
Okay. Hey, how about you do a humble brag for us? Do a humble brag. No, I'm just kidding. So shout out to him. I mean, also, like Jeff said, Davante Adams, the monster red zone target. That's what he was trying to say. But, mid-tier, I think for me, I don't know, man. I hope Jeff is happy, but I think Brandon Ayuk is one of the best mid-tier plays at 5,400. I have him projected for almost 16 points.
Yep.
And that kind of shocked my mind against Washington, but I think it's more because Fuller will be on, what's his name? Debo Samuel. So I think Ayuk will get the opportunity. With that being said, he's coming in a very low ownership at 3.7% ownership. Hey, man, don't underrate that Washington team, man. That team can play.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because I thought I was on to something. I was like, you know what? I think the New York Giants are going to take the division. But the Washington...
Brian was telling us all year, man, they're going to get a big win. They're going to get a big win. And then they beat the Steelers on
Yeah,
You know,
the first team.
it was a matter of time
beat him.
before he was right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he said the Washington football team is the best team in the world too, but he also said that Dwayne Haskins was a top 10 quarterback. And he doesn't even make the second game of the week. I don't know, but anyways, yeah, Brandon Ayuk for sure. There's another guy that really, really interests me in the mid tier is and nobody gonna want to play him. It's T.Y. Hilton at 5,100.
Yeah.
The Las Vegas Raider. I think what's his name? River is dealing with turf toe, if I'm correct. That's what's wrong with his toe. So I mean, Hilton just keeps getting open. Last week he got 11 targets, 8 receptions. The week before that he went 5 for 4, but 81 yards and a touchdown. Maybe we're seeing something, but in the mid-tier, yeah, for sure, him. I think that might have actually been value, not mid-tier, right?
Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah, but I think you have his stats from 2 weeks ago because he got 11 targets last week, 8 catches for 110 yards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean he crushed it.
Gerson this week.
Yeah, he crushed it, and actually, but you called that stack out last week, and I did not have Hilton on my radar at all. I was like, you know what, I kind of like that, and I put that stack that you had on the show last week in one of my GPP lineups. That was my best lineup of the week because I had Landry, I also had Higgins, and then I had not Landry and Higgins. What was it? QT and Brandon Cooks, and then I had Hilton on the other side. So yeah, it was definitely a good play for sure. Only thing I wanted to say that I had in the mid tier is I actually did have Debo as the contrarian play to the Ayuk. I think Ayuk will be sort of chalky because Debo's a different kind of receiver. He's one of those guys that play bully ball. He'll catch that. He catches balls behind the line of scrimmage more than any receiver in the NFL. But then he can just bully you and get those yards, and I do think they're going to get him involved. Yeah. They forgot about him last week. His first catch wasn't until like the second half, and then all of a sudden he started playing really well. So I think this week they get him involved early. So I do think that Debo will be a little bit more of a contrarian play against the Ayuk chalk. And Tim, you got the guy that I got everywhere, and you drafted him ahead of me in the Arena League. You want to talk about Corey Davis?
I did. I want to talk about him, but I don't want to skip over the other two guys because they're two of my favorite plays on the slate. One is Justin Jefferson. He's my boy. It's obligatory that I talk about him every week. He's a great run back candidate in Brady stacks. And then Allen Robinson. I think this is a week he bounces back against a bad Houston secondary. But it's Corey Davis, man. And this is a guy I've been low on in the past. I was actually very high on A.J. Brown. But he's been beating A.J. Brown week in and week out. I saw earlier he's PFF's second graded wide receiver right now, which is just insane. This is a guy a lot of people, including myself, had written off. He's priced at 5,700, which I think makes him a great mid-range option against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So yeah, if you're not going to play, if you're going to play Tannehill stacks, which I think gives you a lot of leverage off the Henry chalk, I think he makes a great option. He's going to be chalky, but I think you can stack it up a couple different ways. But I just think points per dollar at 5,700, he makes a great option.
Yep, I love it. All right, let's get down into these value guys. Gerson, I'll go to you first. Who do you have in your value tier for wide receivers?
Before I get to value, I just want to share a story with everybody. This week, I told my brother, "Hey, man, out of all these plays, what looks off on the projection scales and value and everything?" And he goes, "Derrick Henry, okay." And he goes, "What the fuck? Justin Jefferson?" We're talking about a rookie wide receiver. He's actually the fourth best play on my model, and I was so shocked, but definitely a good call. But value, I mean, we're going to have to say it, right? Curtis Samuel.
Yep.
I mean, the guy's 5,200. What's his name? DJ Moore decided to have a Thanksgiving brunch, and like every other American family on his bye week. And he got COVID. So guess what? Curtis Samuel stepped right on up. But Curtis Samuel's been good. He hasn't been bad. Like, he had what? He met value 1, 2, 3, probably the 6 of the last. He met value. Yeah. I mean, he's just done great. But the thing is, without DJ Moore, without Christian McCaffrey, the volume can have to go somewhere. Curtis Samuel at 5,200. He's going to be a pretty highly owned. The second highest owned wide receiver on the slate, next to Devontae Adams. I can't believe I'm comparing Curtis Samuel to Devontae Adams on value, but we're getting there. I mean, against Denver has a good. What's his name? AJ Boyes is out, right?
Yeah, I think he does.
So Brian Cushing, thank you for giving him steroids. But yeah, this guy Curtis Samuel, a great play. I'm pretty sure he's going to be locked in a lot of cash game rosters. But in GPP, you need a little value, for sure him.
Yeah,
I like it. Go ahead, Tim.
I don't want to skip over Jamison Crowder. He's one of my favorite plays this week. With Mims out, I think he's going to see some extra volume, and he's already a good play. But my favorite value play this week, and he's actually kind of popular, I was hoping he wouldn't be, is Michael Gallup for the Cowboys.
Snipe me on him, too.
He's 3,800. Yeah, I was just say that's one of the plays I sniped from Jeff, and that made me happy in the arena. Anytime I can snipe somebody, that makes me happy. But I just think it's a situation since Andy Dalton has taken over at quarterback. He's actually looked for Michael Gallup on more plays. And for whatever reason, Michael Gallup ends up playing the most snaps of any receiver in that offense, and he's the cheapest price. I also think that it's a situation where, for whatever reason, Amari Cooper just doesn't play well on the road. So and it also looks he's been getting more red zone looks lately too. So just everything lines up, I think, for Gallup to be a good play, and he's 3,800. Yeah. So even if he's not a great play, he's not really going to burn you either. So like he was just talking about with Curtis Samuel, I think he's a great play. He's also $1,400 more. So I think if you're looking to pay down a little bit, I think you could play Gallup as the last guy in your lineup and feel good that he's going to get you at least 10 points.
Yeah, I like it. I didn't catch it if you mentioned it, but did you mention the fact that he didn't get his price adjusted because he played on Tuesday?
I didn't mention that, but yeah, we haven't. It doesn't happen often this late in the season.
Yeah,
but that was a situation where I think his price would have been bumped.
Yeah,
had that game been played early.
Let's be honest, they might play on Wednesday, Thursday. We don't know if they're not adjusted.
They have no idea. That's true.
All right, I have two guys that'll be. I think one of them will be lower owned. Obviously, last week we had a big blow up with Kiki QT. He's now $5K. He's come up in price. And I know everybody's kind of scared of that Bears defense. I was trying to find the cornerback's name while Tim was talking, but the cornerback that's supposed to cover QT or would cover QT is actually out. And they got a rookie that's going to be in there covering QT. And with him and Brandon Cooks being the only two receivers basically back there, I think Watson will definitely find him. I want to say his name is like Shimes or Shims. I can't remember the cornerback's name. But
Duke Shelley.
Is that who it is?
I showed Duke Shelley.
Okay.
He's played one snap.
That's the backup. That's the one playing this year or this week. Yeah. So I think
that's their slot corner this week. He has played one professional snap according.
Yeah, there we go. Buster Skrine. Someone just put it in the chat. That's his name. I was trying to find it on.
I said Skrine.
Did you say that? Yeah. So he's out. And then the other guy I have is Darnell Mooney. Looks like he will play. There was a chance that he was not going to play, but it looks like he will play as long as he passes his COVID tests Friday or Saturday and Sunday. Against Houston, 3.5. He's a good pivot off of what I think would be the Gallup chalk, which is the guy that I actually went with after Tim stole Gallup from me. I went with Mooney in the Arena League, so I think they're both good plays as well. Anybody else before we get to the defense?
Yes.
Go ahead, Gerson.
The best value wide receiver of the whole slate.
What?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The most boring name in fantasy football.
Tim Patrick. No.
Yes. Tim Patrick.
Nice.
How did we not mention him? I mean,
good call.
I'm not buying it, dude. I think that the Carolina Panthers eat Drew Lock this week. They're sneak peek. They're up in the defensive segment.
You really think Bradbury gonna be on him? No, not Bradbury. Fuck, that cornerback.
Joel Douglas. I don't even care. I don't care if it's Rich who it is.
I have 4,200, man. That's got to be something, man.
I think he's a good play, but he definitely worries me a little bit. I don't know that he's the best value though. That might be a bit far for me.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I might have, but I love him, man. I think Tim Patrick Jr. Is it Tim Patrick or is it Tim Patrick Jr.? I thought it's Tim Jr.
Jr. I think it's just Tim Patrick.
But anyway, the most boring fantasy football name in the history, Tim Patrick.
Hey, I just want to hear my drop, Jeff. This is my favorite of all the drops.
Oh, sorry, you're waiting on me.
Defense.
I thought you had your own drop lined up. I was waiting for you to play a song, and I was like, "Oh wait, you're waiting on me, aren't you?"
This is my
Tim
my
time.
favorite segment, man. The defense.
Yeah.
We talk about all these offensive skill players, and I want to talk about my two defense. No, I talked about it earlier in the show. My number one defense this week is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're coming off a bye. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for Kirk Cousins. He is not good against defenses with any kind of a pass rush. I mentioned earlier in the show, I think Justin Jefferson is a great bring-back candidate But on its own, I think that they're going to get probably at least one, if not two, turnovers in this game. If they take one of them for a touchdown, obviously they more than pay off value. So I'm going to be way overrate on Brady and the Bucks, especially the Bucks defense.
Yeah, one thing I want to say, I know we say it all the time on the show, but whenever I'm talking to people on Twitter or even Facebook and they're asking about defenses, they're always like, oh, well, they're going to give up points. They're going to give up points. When you look at defenses, yes, points matters, but you want turnovers, you want sacks, you want fumbles, interceptions. That's what you're looking for, really, for a defense. The points thing is just sort of a bonus for me. Obviously, if they shut them out, great, you get 10 points, or if they get 3 points or 7 points, but give me the turnovers and the chance for a touchdown. So I agree. I think the Bucks are definitely up there. Gerson, who do you got for your defenses?
The only time I care about points against is like a couple weeks ago when they have, a projected total of 10 because they're starting a wide receiver from the practice squad at quarterback.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Outside of a situation like that, give me pass rush situations where I have opportunities for turnovers.
Exactly, because you want a quarterback that's going to be dropping back a lot, because then you can give up sacks, you can give up fumbles, you can give up interceptions. So I think that's what you look for in a defense. Gerson, who do you got in your defense?
The Buccaneers are a great play. I think the best defense this week is the Seahawks for the Jets, obviously, but Dallas for Cincinnati. To me, defense is pretty straightforward. Just play what Tim says every week.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Just do what he says. Every week I make money off that pick, and I'm like, all right, let's go up the percentage on what Tim says. What did you say, G? Let's lower that. That's the way it is, man. Hey, man, Tim, you've been making a profit on me, that's for sure.
I think Dallas is the punt, though. If you can't get up to the Bucks, try and find at least 2,400 to get to the Cowboys.
Oh, man.
I think they try and make a statement game this week against Cincinnati.
So everybody knows that Week 14 is playoff week, fantasy football season. It blew my mind. I'm like, man, do I start the Steelers defense? Do I start the Cowboys defense? Or do I start the 49ers? Don't ask me why I have 3 defense, but it's maybe because my team is so damn good that I don't need other players. But then I was like, fuck, I guess I'm starting the Cowboys defense. Let's see how this goes.
Yep.
Yeah, right now I actually like San Francisco of all those. Without Gibson out, I think they're going to struggle to move the ball. And so I actually really like 49ers. Jeff, I see you had the 49ers defense as well.
Yep.
I think they're another interesting play in between the Cowboys and the Bucks. But
I think that people will be off the Niners because of how bad we look against Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo played an amazing game. Josh Allen played out of his mind.
Oh, boy, Cole Beasley.
Yeah, we couldn't cover because he spread the ball out so much. He spread the ball out so much that we just couldn't cover everybody. So I don't think that's our typical. I think Washington's got only a few weapons. We'll find a way to kind of slow them down. And I do think that we're a viable defense this week. And I mentioned the Giants earlier. Against Arizona, they did a really good job against Seattle. They've had some good games this year. They're great getting the sacks, and I think Kyler Murray will give up some sacks occasionally because he wants to run the ball and try to figure out how to get the ball down the field. So I like the Giants defense this week as well. All right, let's get to the stacks.
Goingfor2.com's weekly stack report.
All right, Tim, I'm going to go to you first. You got 2 stacks there, so pick your favorite one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the top one. I mentioned earlier that I think it's a DK Metcalf week, so I got to stick with my convictions here. So I'm going to go with Russell Wilson to DK Metcalf and running it back with Jamison Crowder. I think that's going to be a lower-owned stack that I think has a ton of upside. And like I said, the Jets stack, or going against the Jets, has broken a couple slates this year. I don't know why this week should be any different.
Yeah, and did we mention when you talked about Crowder earlier that Mims has actually been ruled out too? So Crowder's can get all the targets. So yeah, good.
Hey
call.
Man, I hope Mims okay, man. He's going through a lot right now for sure.
Yeah. It's the same way about my boy Swifty, man.
Yeah,
y'all know how I feel about DeAndre Swift, former sick call and Millie Maker winner. I hope everything works out for that kid, man.
Exactly. All right, Gerson, what you got for your stack?
So my sick call.
No, not sick call. Stack.
my stack is Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson. Oh, it's getting expensive, huh?
Yeah.
We're gonna come back with Rob Gronkowski.
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
I like it. All right, I'm going to pick. I got 2 stacks written down too, but I'm going to give the one that I used in the arena against Tim. I mentioned that I went Rodgers and Devontae Adams at 102 and 103. And then I'm going to bring it back with Marvin Jones Jr. because Galladay is ruled out once again. I do think MJJ has a pretty good week, and he's kind of a mistake. If I'm wrong, Tim, let me know. But he's kind of a Green Bay killer, isn't he? I mean, he had a good game against them.
He does. He always shows up against the Packers. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yep. So
yeah,
that's my comeback. That's my stack of the week. All right, it's time for the sick call.
And now, the sick call of the week.
Gerson, I don't know. Did you have time to find the sick call, or should I go to Tim first?
Go to Tim first.
All right. Tim,
all right. Actually, I want you to go first, Jeff.
All right, I'm going to go first. So the guy I'm going to talk about, I don't even know if anybody's going to know this guy's name, but Colin Johnson for the Jacksonville Jaguars is a rookie that has shown up the last 2 weeks. And we see this a lot where the second or third string quarterback comes into the game for whatever reason, and he has chemistry with the fourth or fifth receiver because he's been throwing it to him basically the whole season. So I think he and Colin Johnson have got a good connection. That at 3.6, I think he's got a touchdown and some. I don't have his stats in front of me. I usually write them down, but I don't have them in front of me. But he's had 2 good games in a row, and I think with the quarterback that's starting there, they've got some good chemistry. So I'm going to take Colin Johnson this week. And Tim, you have the other guy on that list as well.
I do. This is actually my quarterback in the arena. If you've already seen the arena, you got a sneak peek of my sick call. It's Mike Glennon at 5,100. I think. Earlier in the year, we always picked quarterback.
I'm making my beer now. Okay, go.
We've targeted quarterbacks against Atlanta and Seattle. Over the last 5 weeks, the teams to target quarterbacks against have been the Jets and the Tennessee Titans. As I mentioned earlier in the show, Baker had his best game of the year last week against Tennessee. Mike Glennon gets a home game against Tennessee this week. He's only 5,100. I think if people are paying down, they're going to pay down to Jalen Hurts. I think that you could get a cheap stack with his boy Colin Johnson, DJ Chark, somebody like that, and be able to bring it back with some of those higher-priced Tennessee guys and get one of the cheaper stacks on the board.
Yep.
So I'm not saying Glennon's going to break the slate, but at 5,100, I think that he's going to more than get the 15 points that you need him to get value. So that's my sick call, Mike Glennon.
Yeah, he's played well enough because I think Gardner Minshew's healthy, and they came out and said, you know what, we're going to stick with Glennon. So yeah, he's played well enough to stay the starting lineup. So that's good. Gerson, were you able to find a sick call?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Cam Tim for the Washington football team.
I like it.
Last week he could have came with the bigger game. I mean, he had a 14-point game. Got 9 targets, 5 receptions, 92 yards. He could have had a bigger game too, but he was unable to come down, hold on to he just dropped the ball, what we like to call it. He pulled a Dez Bryant, and then he didn't catch it, but in the end zone. And Alex Smith, I just think people underrate Alex Smith's comeback and everything, but I think he deserved the comeback player of the year just based on what he did. But I think Campton, 3,100, man, that's so cheap. Maybe get him at low ownership, sick call of the week for sure.
Yeah, yep. And he's one of those guys too that played on Monday when the slate had already come out and he had a big game, so his price didn't change. So yeah, I like that. All right, guys, that wraps up the podcast. Let's give us where we can find you at, Tim, on Twitter. I know you're trying to get more involved on Twitter. Obviously mention the Facebook chat as well.
Yeah, of course. Twitter, I'm at Keto DFS. That's KETO DFS. And then jump in the roundtable group. Vote on the arena, me versus Jeff. And if you win, you could be in the arena next week.
Good stuff. Gerson?
You can find me at Fantasy G Pod on Twitter. I need like 10 more subscribers to reach another what do you call it?
Milestone?
Milestone, yeah. But yeah, just hit me up, man. If you have any questions or anything. You can find me on the Sunday show, which is the last show we do of the week. I mean,
that show of the week, not.
Yeah. Besides last week was pretty terrible, but I mean, just Sunday is just so critical. I think because of breaking news, injuries, but not only that, projections and ownership change a lot.
Yep.
That's what I always tell people. I think people really, really underestimate projections and ownership because it's so critical in DFS. You can find me there on DFS Roundtable too. This slate looks pretty juicy. I'm excited.
Yep, it does.
Yeah.
All right, guys, as always, you can find me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. I'm here every Wednesday and Friday. We got a couple more shows of the year. I think this show, we stopped doing our last show will be week 15, so we'll have, I think, one more show. This coming up Wednesday is the last show for the season-long show, and then we pick it up back in January. So we'll try to get something kind of cool going on for the last show of the year next week. For Gerson, for Tim, I'm Jeff. We will see you next week.